is Saturday, May 3rd. And I was going to get up 4:35 to go fishing, but I figured I better get caught up in my sleep. I wasn't there yet. Tomorrow it's on. Tomorrow going. But check it out. I'm sure many didn't think I'd pull it off, but I managed to do it. Managed to get that snake skin all the way home without ruining it. Crazy. Now, what the hell am I going to do with it? It's kind of funny, right? The useless shit that some of us insist on pack ratting home and keeping. I guess it's just memories, right? It all represents memories in our life ride. Another cool thing, I'm going to show you this. Last year, a friend of mine in Alabama gave me this. Check this out. What's it called? It's not a megalodon tooth. Apparently, somebody he knows found a whole pile of them. South Carolina, I think? Gave one of those. All sorts of goodies. All sorts of goodies for somebody to figure out what to do with after I'm dead. Right? Now, we have a bunch of recent, meaning recent emails from the people. And I'm going to get into it right now, all right? Now I got to move this thing away from me a little bit here. All right, now listen up. Where am I going to start? I'm going to start right here. There's a whole bunch of them, as usual. Now, all right, this is just in my way here. Hold on a minute here. There we go. Listen to this. Life experiences at point 2. Oh, life experiences 2, meaning part 2, I'm guessing. Steve, thank you for all that you do in regards to people giving people an opportunity to share their experiences with regards to the forest people, amongst other topics. I'm not sure if you've read my previous email to you. This email covers my most recent experiences. I've been fortunate to find an amazing woman who is on the same page as I am with regards to the vax scamdemic, and politically just like you as well. My name is David Denault. And yes, you can use my name. I don't give a damn what people think. Welcome to the Club of Freedom, my man. I know what I know, and I consider it a complete waste of time to try convincing those who are closed-minded. The first experience occurred 2 summers ago, if I remember, was in the middle of July. It was later at night because it was black. We were at my girlfriend's cabin near Fork Lake, Alberta. All right, I'm not familiar with Fork Lake yet. I can't remember if she'd gone into the cabin to get something or the outhouse while I was by the fire in the fire ring. While she was gone, I was looking back towards the cabin when I saw a shadow person / entity darker than the blackness of the night, at least 6 feet tall or taller, move from left to right, halfway between me and the cabin. Pretty darn freaky. And yes, I told my girlfriend what I'd seen. The next day, I smudged the perimeter of the property and around the cabin as well. The second incident involved my girlfriend. It happened, if I remember correctly, around mid-July again. When we got up the following morning, she told me that she'd woken up to the sound of someone loudly whacking the side of a tree at 0330 hours. I never heard a thing. She asked me what I thought it was, and I told her the truth. Knowing me as well as she does, she was willing to accept my explanation. Perfect. Once again, thank you for all that you do. Please pass on my thanks to Sarah and your entire family for supporting you to do what you do. God bless you and your family always. All the best, David Denault. God bless and all the best to you too, David. Appreciate that email. Keep us posted on what's up. Especially let us know what happened after the smudging, all right? Because we had something bashing on the roof of this place when we first got it. And Sarah's walked the perimeter of this property a few times smudging. We smudge the house fairly often, especially downstairs. Don't know why, but there's been lights in the house. And so far, I can't remember the last time there's been an episode here. but I think it's a while. But definitely stuff is going on here since smudging the entire perimeter of the property. But it definitely toned down a lot. Take from what you will or leave it, you guys. But yeah, keep us posted on what's up and what's been going down and what comes, what doesn't come, and how effective it is, what you're doing, all right? A lot of people are sitting here silent, listening and learning. All right, we got a long one. LEO and medical field puzzle pieces / tree photos. All right, LEO is Law Enforcement Officer for all those who aren't familiar. Dear Steve, I ask up front that you only use a pseudonym for me. Please call me Michael. I'm in my early 40s, living in Maine. I've been listening to your YouTube channel for years now, utterly fascinated. I've learned so very much that I would love to summarize some of it to let you know what puzzle pieces seem to have lined up for me. I also have a few small experiences that might ring true for listeners. You have and continue to be a great light of truth and realness that has become more and more rare in the modern world. I really appreciate you. I'll often listen to your channel while folding laundry, while being outside doing yard work, or even when I'm on a long drive. Most people lead off their emails with what they do for work, but I'll just say that I work in a medical field where I have daily contact with people who are in the last months or even moments of their lives. Oof. It could be trauma-related injuries, or it can also be a chronic illness. I work with them all. I'm also a licensed... I wonder if I should read all these details about what you do. Because you wanted to stay anonymous, right? So some sleuths could easily probably put together. All right, so you used to be a law enforcement officer. We'll share that. Became a detective. Grew up in Pennsylvania. Been on lots of long-distance hikes, hundreds of miles of hiking at a time. I'd also like to relate some things I've learned through my professional life and some of the puzzle pieces I've put together largely from listening to your channel. Sound good? Sounds great. I hope you appreciate it, or understand why I left out a handful of your description of your past and where you grew up and where you went to school and what you do, all right? Because believe me, these days with the internet, it's not going to be hard to narrow it down to who you are with all those clues for somebody who's creepy enough to want to do it. Number one, I grew up very close to a city in Pennsylvania. My family had 50 acres of property in the Susquehanna County, Susquehanna, in the northeastern region of the state. About 12 acres of the land was non-cropped fields and the rest was forested. Our neighboring property had a giant field for that region of over 20 acres. The area is rolling hills, which to a child of my single-digit years seemed more like mountains. There were a few small streams running through our property, and a relatively sizable lake nearby of 10-plus acres. Our driveway coming off the main road was about a half a mile long. It was grass-covered and wound straight through a tree line that bordered our neighbor's large field. We only visited the property a few times a year to maintain it in the summer, and as I moved into my teenage years, to hunt deer and squirrel with my dad. In the summer, especially when we were very young, 5 to 9 years old, my sister and I would have free rein to roam the property while my dad spent hours mowing the driveway with a push mower, set with the mowing deck to its highest height. My mother stayed home near the city when we made these trips. She didn't like being without electricity or running water, which there was none of on the mountain property. Ha! My dad would be mowing out of sight, with the mower going in the distance. My sister and I would often spend hours in the stream running parallel to the driveway, lifting up rocks and looking for frogs and crawdads, little minnow fish. And there was a section of the stream that butted up to the corner where the large field met the woods, where I always felt uneasy. The woods there were of medium density, but once you got into them, they went on for a few miles without any breaks. It would be very easy to get turned around in them, and any number of creatures made their homes there. My dad, over the years, had confirmed sightings of bobcats, turkey, deer, and nearby there were enough rock outcroppings that we knew bear had dens in the area to hibernate in. But the biggest thing about that particular section of woods where they met the field was that the feeling I had of being watched didn't necessarily end when my dad was around. I think kids can often feel things and make up scary things in their minds. Dark closets and under the bed is scary. Hidden corners and going out at night can be scary. But generally, having an adult around made things better. It'll settle a kid and make them forget their worries. Even if my dad was done mowing and came down to see us near the stream, something in my mind would make me always glance that direction, to that corner of the woods where the field and the forest and the stream converged. I get it. I went through that same shit during my childhood. A lot. It was later in my teenage years when my sister and I were old enough to drive, and my dad and mom had separated, when my sister and I would take trips up to the family land together, sometimes bringing her best friend Heather with her. So, 3 teenagers, 1 boy, 2 girls, no one over 18 years of age, we brought a 6-person tent, a small Coleman stove. We used fresh water flowing from the stream, and we camped out a few nights on our family property. We hadn't come up to maintain the property for years since my parents had separated. I'd been so young the last time I'd been there that I'd almost forgotten the experience on the family land, as if I'd dreamt of its existence. The old trailer we stayed in while we were young had gotten its roof caved in from heavy winter snows, which was why we now had to tent camp. My sister and I had brought the push mower up to mow the long driveway, and we'd brought a .22 rifle up as well to do some shooting and for the potential self-defense. Not sure what 2 teenagers would have to defend themselves from, but as an adult, I now know that the world isn't always what it seems. We tented one night, not very far from the point in my earlier years where I used to feel like I was being watched while we played in the stream. The property hadn't seen us for the better part of 10 years because of my parents' marital issues, and the land had whatever inhabited it surely had gotten used to the lack of human contact. My sister, her friend and I had put up our tent in the forested part about 150 yards from where I had felt watched years prior. We did teenagery things, made a fire, ate hot dogs, told ghost stories, drank hot chocolate. We turned in for the night, the 3 of us, me being the youngest. I was 15 or 16 at most. I got woken up by my sister and her friend Heather sometime after midnight. They were pretty frantic, and told me something was walking outside of the tent. I was pretty dismissive, even at 15 or 16 as the only boy there. My sister and her friend were looking to me for some kind of guidance. I'm not sure if there's some kind of innate reliance on men when it comes to the world of the wild, but they both were looking to me for answers. I said, "It's just a deer, go back to sleep." Because in my mind, there was nothing else it could be. Nothing would be walking outside of our tent at that time of night. And then I heard the footfalls nearby. They were deliberate, for lack of a better word. Sat up in my sleeping bag and listened. The steps stopped, almost as if it knew that attention was being paid by us inside of our tent. Then we heard an owl call, very close. When I say very close, I mean within 30 or 40 feet of where we lay. Steve, at the time, all this seemed slightly weird, but my teenage logic-driven mind felt adrenaline surge. The urge to be manly in front of my sister and her friend was overwhelming. I got up, unzipped the wide door of the tent, swung my flashlight around to the backside of the tent. Mind you, nothing had run off. There had been no sound of limbs cracking or any sound of a deer running at all. The owl had been making calls for a few minutes. I walked behind the tent where the sound of footfalls had been, where the sound of the owl call had come from. I moved my flashlight around, scanning. The beam of light seemed to capture the sticks and twigs of every downed tree for 50 yards. I moved the light up into the trees, expecting to see some kind of an owl. There was nothing. I heard nothing. The air was very, very still. I saw no sign of a deer, and I was looking hard. I went back inside the tent and was again dismissive about the whole experience to my sister and her friend. Whatever it was, it's gone now. I went back to sleep. My sister informed me years later that she and Heather never slept a wink again the rest of that night. It was the last night of our visit to the property. My father later sold the property against my sister and my wishes. She had to remind me of that night years later after I told her about listening to your channel. The memory of it came flooding back. And after listening to hundreds of your postings, yes, I have, I know what was probably going on that night now. In my late 20s, I did a through hike of the Appalachian Trail, hiking continually from Georgia to Maine over a spring and a summer. I also did a few end-to-end hikes of Vermont's Long Trail, and I've also hiked the Colorado Trail, which traverses that state from the Denver area to the southwestern end at Durango. Thousands of miles on foot, hundreds of nights in the forest, the fields, sometimes over 20 miles from any kind of road. When I hiked the Colorado Trail, it was at a point where I had become very, very interested in the topic of Sasquatch, as well as some of the offshoot topics your channel and your listeners have brought up. So I was much more on the lookout for anything unusual, or any feelings I might have in the wilderness. Colorado has no shortage of history with these topics. I took photos of some of the tree structures I saw in Colorado. On close one, it does not prove anything at all. It's just interesting, as you say, and I agree with you. A photograph does not prove anything to anyone. There will always be naysayers who try to explain things away, claim something is AI or photoshopped, or will come up with any excuse to dismiss someone's experience. I enclosed the photos simply because it's something that I feel was deliberately made, and that it just didn't happen to fall that way from a freak storm. And as you tell listeners, take it or leave it. I'm also enclosing a photo of a balanced sapling that I came across in a wooded area near where I live. I live in Maine now, and this was found inside of a marked trail network in a town nearby. Again, it may mean nothing, but it does strike me as something unusual. Something that I have a hard time imagining a group of people doing. Take it or leave it, as you say. I think all the clues from all the stories, all the histories, they do add up to a puzzle that people can put together. And as you frequently mention, the power, the true power, is with the people. In the end of all things, that is the only thing that really matters. I just want to lay a few things out that I've come to understand from my experiences and from listening to you and your viewers' experiences. Number one, from my experience in law enforcement, I say this: our government absolutely lie to us on many topics all the time. It's usually about control. They have so much concentrated power and endless supplies of funds to keep that power going. I worked in local law enforcement and saw how much leadership in my department deliberately kept criminal acts from being known to the public. The town I worked in was very tourist-driven for its economy. And off the record, I was personally told by my superiors that they didn't want to put out press releases of violent crimes that occurred because it could scare off tourist visits and affect the economy negatively. Yeah, that's quite prevalent in the township of Whistler, British Columbia, too. There's a lot of dark dog shit that goes on there, but it's tourist-driven. And they don't, only the locals hear about it. Crimes were not reported to the public. And this is deliberate. Even when victims were seriously or gravely injured, even when there was massive property damaged, if something serious happened, and not enough cell phones were present to make something go viral, most of the public never heard about it. An example: I was on a scene once where a victim walked up to me and he had been slashed across his stomach with a knife. Ew, all of his intestines spilled out on the sidewalk in front of me like something out of a horror movie. This happened in a very public area with a lot of people walking around. How was it reported to the press? Someone was stabbed. True enough to not be an outright lie, but very, very far from the facts. Why didn't they tell the whole truth about what happened? Well, there are a lot of bars and restaurants in that area, and business was booming. Who would the facts hurt? This type of untruth by omission goes on every single day. It's critical that people exercise critical thinking skills and read between the lines about what is and what is not reported on. There's no way I can emphasize that enough. No doubt. Given that I experienced those lies just working at a local law enforcement level, as an intelligent man, I'm able to extrapolate out what the public is lied to about on a national and even international level. Our governments absolutely look at us as silly sheep, or at worst, mushrooms. Keep them in the dark and feed them shit. From my perspective, I look at most government leaders as jellyfish lacking a spine, invertebrates. But I digress. If we, the public, are viewed as sheep or mushrooms, what's the best way to keep us in the dark about potentially important or world-changing information? Turn that information into a joke. How do you create jokes about a topic like Sasquatch? How about you put them in beef jerky commercials? Make a nonsense show about it on the History Channel. Create festivals and t-shirts about it. That seems like a good start and very effective. On top of that, you make fun of or discredit anyone and everyone who tries to take that joke seriously. People like Dr. Melva Ketchum. You attack their work, hire other doctors to try and discredit what they've done. You hide or discredit or wipe out any knowledge of the capable and determined work that they did and ruin them. Because it's easy to do that to one person or a small group of people. Just drop a label on them and find a way to make it go viral. People will believe anything if it's heard often enough. Because, and I hate to say it, most people really are sheep. I know it kind of sucks. Number one, in my law enforcement work and in my current medical field, I might have mentioned I've seen a lot of death. I've had people die in my arms on the street, and I've literally been the person to pull the plug on people so that they can pass on to the next realm. I just want to say that there is so much more to existence than we experience in our five senses. We are a spiritual being inside of a human body. Most people's life experiences are limited to the five senses. But I know from everything I've gone through, what I've seen people go through, that there is way more to existence than that. We do not end when our bodies wear out. There is something next. We're taught very early in middle school science that matter can neither be created nor destroyed, and that also holds true for who we are as people when our bodies die. Existence is vibration, because matter is vibration. Our body cells actually vibrate because the atoms within us have a vibration, a resonance. When we move on from our bodies, that energy that exists as the us that we are does not disappear. It just goes elsewhere. As proof of this, I offer to you all of the vibrations that exist that we know of that our senses actually can't pick up on without some kind of technological help. Radio waves, electromagnetic waves, ultrasounds, infrared waves, ultraviolet waves, X-rays, etc. They all exist, but they are not accounted for by our normal human five senses. How about Wi-Fi? Cellular signals. We know they're real, yet we have non-believers, and plenty of them, that will say that something can't exist if we don't see it with our own eyes. When you think about it, it's kind of preposterous. A book I've encountered through my own puzzle piece search that I would recommend on this topic is probably hard to find and complicated, but well worth a read. Quote, Space, Time, and Self by E. Normal Pearson. Really? That was his name? Normal? Hope that wasn't a typo, but that's how it read. Number one, I've not had a direct encounter with a Sasquatch, but after hearing hundreds, if not thousands of accounts from you and your submitters, a few truths have come out that I believe to be absolute facts now. They exist. The simple math of so many encounters rules out there being thousands of hoaxes. I don't have to see one to know this. The math and the continuity of many of the facts of these stories being reported over and over means that they exist. It's more than enough for me, and should be for most people who are paying attention. Yeah, but how many are paying attention, right? That's the frustrating part, but you just got to learn to kick that to the curb and keep going forward for your own journey, right? Unfortunately, most people aren't paying attention. Anyone who keeps saying they can't believe in them because they haven't found a body is truly blind to reality. I believe plenty of bodies have been found. I believe they've been hauled away for research. I believe that unmarked military units have arrived to remove them. I believe they might even be quickly buried away from the viewing public. If you really think about it, a group of 10 men could pretty discreetly move a large object a few hundred feet from a curious onlookers, dig a hole, and make things go bye-bye. Or just as easily, load it into a heavy-duty truck with a tarp or awning and also make it go bye-bye. With a plan and an organized effort, it could be done in under 10 minutes with very few people the wiser. And witnesses are able to be easily silenced through various forms of intimidation, such as family, career, or economic threats. Governments actively cover up their existence. They fear the ramifications of loss of revenue from changes in tourism, mining, forestry, construction, and probably other industries I can't think of off the top of my head. They also, maybe more than anything, fear the religious and anthropological ramifications of admitting that these beings exist. It would most certainly require changing religious, biological, archaeological, and physics textbooks. And maybe more than anything, they would have to admit that they've been lying about this issue, and they fear lost control of that more than anything. Right? And I think with the effort that they put forward to crush Dr. Melba Ketchum, the effort they put forth to annihilate the DNA coming out, obviously the DNA story is a huge motivator to keep secret from the public. Now you have to ask yourselves, why? Why such huge global concern from the powers that be to attack the DNA? Not just somebody who's seen them, photographed them, videotaped them, but why did the DNA discovery create such a knee-jerk reaction to absolutely attack it and squash it? Ask yourselves why. Do a little digging and figure out why. And then you'll have your answer, and I guarantee it's not money. I say it's not money motivated. It's about our true history and the control and the narrative. Sorry for the outburst, you guys. There are multiple types of these beings. I think some, if not all, are able to access other realms that our genetic human senses are not able to access. I think, like human beings, there are Sasquatches that are good, and some that wish to do real harm to humans, although I think those are the exception and not the rule. I think because these beings have vibrational powers that are beyond ours, they can access realms that we cannot. This affects our ability to see them in certain circumstances. Those circumstances are controlled by them. Portals are part of this. Orbs most likely are too. I think Sasquatch beings utilize trees much more than we realize. I think they climb trees extensively from their youth and onward, which largely helps them massively increase their musculature as they enter hormonal puberty. I think tree climbing turns juvenile males into very freakishly strong adult males as their bodies grow out and they put on weight. Think about it. How strong are humans who do a lot of rock climbing? Very strong. Huge tendon strength with their arms in proportion to their size. Anytime a creature has to move their body weight vertically against gravity, and they do it over and over again, their strength will wind up being incredibly substantial. Couple that with running for prey through forests and up and down mountains, incredible physicality that we cannot fathom, especially when they are growing past the 300-pound mark as they move through adolescence. Yeah, debatable. Maybe. When I hear that, my mind instantly goes to, yeah, well, how about running 65 miles per hour? And also, how about disappearing? How about being 4 feet wide at the shoulders and disappearing behind a 6-inch fir tree in infrared? You know what I mean? There's a bunch of shit going on somewhere else. Not just your... I mean, it's a good explanation. Physically living full-time on this planet with the same realm we're in right now, right? Where gravity affects our bodies, but they got so much more going on we don't know about somewhere else we don't know about. I think tree structures are formed by these beings. They're probably warnings or directionals, or even territorial boundary markers. They might be put there to warn other beings if people frequent nearby areas. Western culture has discredited their existence by making a joke of the topic. Western leaders have done this by ignoring and silencing hundreds, if not thousands of years of indigenous stories and records of Sasquatch existence by turning it into a topic that can be profited upon. Sasquatch has become its own cottage industry, and this is done on purpose through the use of media propaganda. Politicians are so very scared of the variety of economic fallouts that would occur if the public became true knowers and believers on this topic, instead of casual History Channel viewers and t-shirt purchasers, beef jerky chewers. Hey Steve, I've droned on and on, that's enough. I hope you know the work you do is important. I hope you know that people like me are out here and paying attention to what you do, and that we're putting the puzzle pieces together as you suggest. Us believers are out here with our eyes wide about what is going on. The majority of the world is sheep for sure, but there are quiet lions that blend into the crowd also. Sincerely, Michael. All right, appreciate that. Very well written. Email Michael, and keep in touch too. All right, as you come up with more information on your journey. I'm going to share this way. Oops. Get rid of that glare. How's that? Make adventure dogs a little frustrated out there. I'll tend to her in a second. I'm coming! Hold on a minute. I'm busy. I can tell. It's funny when you get to know your dog, you can tell the barks when they're meant for you. Now this is a balanced tree. Let me try this side. Level it up. There we go. Interesting, right? Very interesting. I appreciate you, man. I'm so happy to hear from people with like-minded people like you. There's a lot here. There's a lot of people in the same boat here. Hold on. She needs my help. I know she does. All right. Everything's in order. Now, who's next? Let's see, email. It's titled Swung into Tree Pattern from M. Lewis again. There are a number of reports of people seeing a dog, usually their dog, grabbed by the rear legs and swung so their head smashes into the tree trunk. One hand, usually one motion, grab legs and swing into the tree, seemingly with little effort required. Some are like a casual hand or forearm whip. Some with astounding anger, and so fast any yelp from the dog is curtailed by the impact with the tree. It's usually an incident involving a single dog. In one case, the dog, already on its back, injured and whining pitifully while laying on the trail, was snatched by its rear legs into brush and immediately swung back out and across into a tree on the opposite side, then dropped in the trail. And yes, that presented like the Sabe was trying to lure its owner by having first injured the dog, and yes, in Alaska. Yeah, this is the trying to lure a human thing. Doesn't sit with me. That's just me, though. I'm wrong about a lot of shit in life, but the trying to attempt to lure humans, terrorize them probably, make statements, but you want to lure a human. These people, they're just going to go grab your ass, no matter what, if that's what they're inclined to do. In addition to that case, in the typical simple cases, there's reports of one account had a group of hunting dogs cornering one of these with its back to a tree, accumulating dispatched dogs around the tree. I can't remember if it was this incident or a smaller one that had it swinging one of the dispatched dogs in its offhand to keep the others at bay, while it kept its dominant hand ready for its next grab and smash. Where'd that come from, that story? You should send it to us. Another at night, a small number of hunting dogs, most with impact injuries, not torn, clawed at, or a bit, returning to their owner's truck after a huge commotion was heard in the woods. The majority of his dogs never returned, and were never found. One confrontation where the dog wasn't killed, a woman was walking her dogs during the day on her rural property, forested at the back, as was somewhat common for them, and after a field or two, a short distance into the woods was their usual. That day, upon entering somewhat deeper into the forest than her usual, she encountered a mother sabe holding one of her young. I believe the sabe was crouched down. The woman was struggling to control her dog, who was barking up a storm and trying to attack them, while the mother sabe was sheltering her child in her arms. Throughout this, the woman was receiving angry mind speak in frustrated patience to the effect of, "Control your dog or it dies." The sabe had enough patience that the woman, with significant effort, finally got sufficient control of her dog and got out of there. She didn't go that deep into the woods again, and avoided the woods for a long time. The woman suspected the sabe was aware of her attachment with her dog, so was trying to give the woman time to control her dog before she needed to kill it. While most dogs, I believe a shepherd in this case, should not be a danger to an adult. For a very young sabe, an attack by a dog could easily be fatal. I think the mother sabe had her back to a tree or pair of trees. It's unknown why she didn't run away, which at first seems odd. In that, why wouldn't a sabe just run away, given their speed, upon becoming aware of the woman and her dog? There have been quite a number of reports of people suddenly encountering a sabe, where the sabe seems surprised or even startled by their presence. They had no warning, but still running away. Even holding an infant should be relatively easy. There may have been other sabe children nearby, or even one behind its mother, so a mother sabe couldn't run away and leave them to be discovered by the dog. Dog uncontrolled, she would have no choice but to kill it to ensure the safety of her children. With their typical observed age spacing between their children, likely there would only be one additional child. With the one she held, that would be in danger. Although some reports detail much closer age spacing, like that seen in the video of the family walking along the valley bottom. Shift their ages down so the youngest is in the mother's arms, and at least two, possibly all three of those children could or would be at risk from a dog. I have a recollection of a one-handed head smash into a tree with other animals, but I cannot remember all. He mentioned hogs. There's one case where a deer half running through the woods was ambushed, grabbed by the head with both hands, and swung into a tree, breaking its ribs and neck. That is unusual. More usual is a number of reports of their killing deer and caribou by grabbing them and twisting their neck. I don't know about elk or moose. And some by simply slapping or backhanding their body or neck, instantly dropping them. I haven't heard of them, somebody eyewitnessing them killing a caribou yet, so send that to me. In one case in Alaska, while chasing, a single arm backhand to the chest of a running caribou nearly folded it in half around its arm, flinging it away, landing dead in the snow. A native hunter was among those harvesting this caribou after the sabe ran away, chasing the rest of the caribou herd. He reported the ribs shattered. Heart like shattered glass, lungs like jello, and the intestines exploded around the inside. They got their rear quarters and scooted for the sleds. And again out of Alaska, a 13-foot hairy man swung a caribou around by its neck like it was a flail, beating the bejesus out of an alder thicket before casually tossing it aside. Crazy. That's a grumpy day, right? So yeah, swinging a dog around is a relatively casual effort, as some describe like a whip action. Dispatching a dog by a head smash into a tree may be preferred over grabbing the head, as that's the biting end, or preferred over slapping it. Slapping, as it's easier and avoids any injury or pain from slapping the head. The reports sure have it being quick and easy for them. Also note that Alaska Fish and Game lists the adult bull caribou weight average at 350 to 400 pounds, and mature females average 175 to 225 pounds. So, swinging a 160-pound to 200-pound human around by his ankles into a tree wouldn't be that much effort for an adult male sabe. Yeah, not at all. How about Albert Ostman getting packed up and over mountain ranges all night long with all of his shit slung over his shoulder like he was a sack of a sack of underwear. Thanks for that email, man. One story that always comes to my mind, and I heard it a long time ago, but some just stay there, right? Was the hunter who was in a tree stand and some hogs were coming. He wasn't hunting hogs. And then all of a sudden he's seen this hairy person moving ultra fast, stalking tree to tree to tree to tree, stalking the hogs, and then just ran up and slapped one. And he said it was over 100 pounds. I think it was 150 pounds was the number. And slapped it and sent it flying into a tree where the impact on the tree dusted it like... I'm guessing it probably would have died from the impact of the slap. The tree was probably just to stop it instead of slapping it a quarter mile away. I'm exaggerating on the distance, but the way the man told that story and the horror of watching what's going on in front of him really struck a chord with me. I don't know why. Put me right there reading that one. What a crazy story to make up in the morning too, right? I know what I'm going to say today. All right. This next email is titled Sheep. Hey, Steve. John Reisner live here. Hey, Steve. John Reisner here in La Grande, Oregon. Where did all this infrasound business come from? It makes me laugh how many people adopt this completely unproven theory just because it sounds intelligent and cool to them, when they know absolutely shit about it. What I have learned the last 4 years of religiously listening and almost every day is that the more I learn, the less I know, and it gets more and more interesting. This area has always had a lot of sightings and strange going-ons and very dark energy in certain places. I will write in later about some stuff I know you will find very interesting. Till then. Okay, man. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's a lot of things that the majority of the human herd agree upon or jump on and accept as true when it can't really be proven. So, I don't know. Don't know. Am I on board with the infrasound thing and these people? I'm on the fence. I'm open to it. Do I believe it is true? No, not yet, but I'm open to it. Like you said, I mean, there's a lot of things going on that unless you can get someone who allegedly has these skills to tell you and show you, all you can do is guess, right? Take it all in and kind of guess and go with your gut instincts on what's going on. I believe, like I said a million times, we know the answers to everything. It's in our gut. It's kind of like now, I might be pissing off a bunch of hunters, but I don't give a shit. And I've shared... I actually made a video on this a long time ago about cover scent and hunting deer. Any game. I don't give a shit what it is. The amount of people, I try not to, but sometimes when I'm at my friends in the States, I'm forced to watch hunting shows on TV. And the amount of people that just mimic each other and spray down the outside of themselves for about, 30 seconds? Outside of a vehicle with scent concealment spray or whatever you want to call it. And they think it works. And they all do it. And it's the most outrageous waste of money I've ever witnessed myself ever in the hunting industry. But it's big dollars, right? I mean, think about if I was ruthless. I could make up a potion, put it in a squirt bottle and say, this is proven by me. By how to hunt. A professional guide. How to hunt's cover scent. How much money do you think I could make if I pulled off that stunt? Think about it. A piss load. Right? If I was inclined, if that was what I was about. And until then, the thing about that, I'm kind of relating this to the infrasound thing. The only way you can absolutely prove that it doesn't work is when the game learns how to speak fluent English. So until that happens, the people that manufacture it and market the shit out of it win. Right? And no, I don't give a shit what anybody says. It does not cover your scent. It never will cover your scent. This is how they could prove it. If someone took scent particles from you, and there's scent particles from everything, your hat, your hair, your nose, your eyes, your tears, your sweat, your butt, your gaunch, your clothes, the detergent, whatever you brushed your feet on while you walked from your home to your truck and out into the woods, the coffee you dribbled down your chin, the grease in your oil, that is the grease in your oil, the oil in your gun, all has various different scent particles. All right, so just take some of those particles, put them in a petri dish, whatever you got, so that we can physically see them, and then apply the cover scent. The only way that cover scent's going to cover the scent of those particles is if it makes those particles dissolve and disappear physically. It's the only way. So when you spray yourself down with the cover scent, if it has an odor to game, they're smelling your cover scent, and they're smelling your ass, your underwear, your armpits, the coffee you dribbled on your chest, everything. There you go. But people jump on it and go with it when they don't know for sure. I guess that's what the point I'm trying to make. It's an easily made point for all of you pertaining to the infrasound topic that this man just voiced his opinion on. Take it from what you will or leave it. And if anybody feels that I may be wrong about the commercially made and distributed cover scent stuff, and I've put this invitation out numerous times over the years, and nobody's bit yet. I'm like, hey, if you're a producer of any kind of cover scent product for hunting, I will invite you to my home. I'll pay for it, and you can fill up a hot tub full of your cover scent product, bathe in it all night long. I don't care, as long as you feel you need. You can even put all your clothes in there. And then as soon as you're confident that you've covered your scent, then you have to go upwind from, say, a female grizzly and her cubs. I don't care how many cubs, 1 or even 3. You have to go upwind from a female grizzly and her cubs that are feeding on a stinky kill. That stinky kill should erase your scent too, right? And then you can start at 500 yards upwind from them. I don't care. And then you have to see and show me while I videotape the results how close you can get to her with all your cover scent on from upwind, starting at 500 yards. We'll see how close you get, right? But nobody's bit that challenge yet. I don't know why, because scent cover works. Right? Okay, I got to start babbling. Obviously, it's just one of the many things that I've observed in my lifetime of how everyone's duped and they go with it without knowing shit. It's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I should make up some kind of a baking soda and water spray and put it in a bottle and label it "How to Hunt's Proven Scent Blocker." That'll never happen in this lifetime. And if I ever do something like that, make sure you come and find me and kick me in the nuts as hard as you can, multiple times. All right? To smarten my ass up. Now, want to read one more. Then I have to go out and hit the chainsaw for the rest of the day. Awaken to silence around you. Top of the World, Arizona, January 22nd, 2023. I finally wrote what happened to me March 29th, 2025. I'd go alone a lot on hikes when I traveled down to southwest from Midwest. I was at a mountain rest stop called Top of the World in Arizona. Few visitors and hikers coming out off the trail. I was going to go for a hike when I was walking and looking at my phone when I sensed to look up, and my mind in an instant said, "You should turn around." I stood just looking ahead and was going to continue since I thought I had enough time to just check it out before the next day. Then suddenly, I turned around and went straight to my cargo van. I sat for a while thinking, that's strange. I found myself wanting to go out, but was hesitant. I found it weird. It was getting dark, and I decided, oh well. I was ready to sleep, and I realized I couldn't. Confused, I wondered why. Then I must have dozed off because when I came to, I realized I was tossing and turning, and something bothering me, and I couldn't sleep. It finally dawned on me after a while that it was dead silent, unable to hear the night's music of critters that helped me sleep when I camped. I sensed such heaviness as if something was wrong. Now, me wide awake, I started to pray for protection from any evil thing or evil spirits lurking around. I sensed danger, but I can't drive at night. It seemed forever. I finally fell asleep. When I awoke, daylight broke through, and all I could think of was that I needed to get out of here. I found myself starting to panic and had no signal, which was strange because I had great reception when I arrived on my phone when I turned it off. I made it out. I still felt nervous, my heart and my chest heavy, and realizing I wasn't breathing. I have a habit of doing that sometimes, and I was struggling to keep up in my mind. I always said I wanted to go back and stay for 14 days at the national park, but in the back of my mind, I was battling. Trying to get my schedule for my next trip, I realized that something weird was happening within me. Today, it just dawned on me that I prayed as to how I'd get back there and as to why I was hesitant. One day, I came upon Salish Sasquatch. She lives in the reservation. I'm indigenous as well. I was checking her YouTube. There I felt that way they mention of when Sabe are near. I sensed something outside. As clear as that day listening, I remembered looking at my roof and around me and sensing eyes at me. I prayed myself to sleep, thinking that one time when someone was trying to steal my converter, I prayed for protection, and next thing I hear dry leaves crackle as they left ASAP. In the morning, I found my converter hanging. Intrigued now and putting two and two together as to that being the reason as to why I'm feeling that way, I am now and that day, they were there. I see a face that pops in my head, something dark, black eyes, dark face, and too scared to look, but then realized I was asleep. Almost a dream within a dream. Texting this, I realized my hand was clenched, heaviness on my chest, not breathing until I coughed. I never knew about them. But it's now 1.5 years I've not gone, as almost as if I'm running away. I find myself saying I'm not hiking no more, but you say, good to continue. I've never quit before, and your encouragement, and today seeing your better half with you walking in the forest with Ruby gives me courage. At least I'm aware now that there are many new beginnings, and safety always aware, and to not lock myself away. I was wondering as to why I was hesitant to keep on hiking. Now I know I was becoming someone I wasn't, and will continue in nature more aware and spiritually more sensitive, and knowing that inner intuition is true and must listen to wisdom. Never keep my mind blank or wander without guidance, and to be alert at all times. For that is how I've survived all these years. My journey that day was deep spiritual battlefield of the mind indeed. Always be on alert, trusting instincts. I've always sensed things before they happen. It's just a knowing that you know. I didn't realize the heaviness this was physically on my body. It is so true to share, to lift some of that burden/load off, even if you keep trying to ignore. I not see, but it's as if I did, because there was something burned into my mind. My whole being, I felt sick inside, even doctors that not know what was wrong with me. I was chained literally until I came to accept that the spiritual is just as alive as the physical, and more so. Gracias, hermano. Thank you. True awakening happening. Protection and guidance from angels, change and transformation. Bernie. Indigenous people. Bernadette Mendez Villanueva. Villanueva? You know I pronounced that wrong. Bernie, appreciate you, man. Appreciate that email big time. A lot of people needed to hear that. Some probably didn't, but that's fine. Lots to chew on, think about, right? A lot of people, I love it when people's wheels are turning independently. I love it. And I'm sure you probably know why, right? Because it's uncommon these days, and it's getting further and further away from so many people being able to think for themselves and clue into their intuition, right? Their gut instincts. But here we are, pushing it every day. Now, here I go. I'm going to put on some headphones, crack on, I don't know, some kind of podcast, fire up the chainsaw. Now the ground is dry enough I can get a vehicle over to my log pile that my buddy made last fall. I got 2 different big log piles, and I got to buck them all up and get them out of there. Here we go again. get my firewood done. Hopefully get all of my firewood done for the year before I hit the water. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Get it to us, all right? Just get it out. Get it shared. Get the truth spoken. Don't be scared. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow.